Let us begin. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity of meeting to discuss this important topic of botanical medicine. We pray for your Holy Spirit's leading, teaching, and guidance is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Our topic of discussion is botanical medicine. Each year, more than 60 million Americans use herbal remedies and other types of alternative medical care, and more people seek help from alternative healthcare providers than from alternative healthcare practitioners. Most telling of all, nearly 3 out of 4 patients who use alternative care will never tell their doctors about it. So you may have, some upset stomach, and you can use peppermint tea or some ginger tea. But if it persists, you may go to the physician, but you may not tell them anything about what you've had. But yet, a lot of people will find themselves utilizing some alternative remedies for their conditions. So Christ never planted the seed of death in the system, in the whole system of our universe, of our planet. Satan planted those seeds when he tempted Adam to eat of the tree of knowledge, which meant disobedience to God. So Satan planted those seeds. Not one noxious plant was placed in the Lord's great garden, but after Adam and Eve sinned, poisonous herbs sprang up. In the parable of the sower, the question was asked the master, "Didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares?" So what are the tares doing here? And we see that it is all because of sin, that Satan planted those trees and the plants and so forth in the field that would not bring good, that lots of them are poisonous and toxic. And not all things in nature, and because it came and it's from the ground or a plant, it's all natural, means that it is all good for the human body. And we'll see some of those things coming out in a little while. Some of those plants, the herbs, some could be good and some are not good for the human body. So who planted the plants that will hurt the body? The master answered in Matthew 13:27 and 28, "An enemy hath done this. All tares are sown by the evil one, and every noxious herb is of his sowing, and by his indigenous methods of amalgamation, he has corrupted the earth with tares." So mixing and so forth, and you have today, a lot of coming together of different kinds of plants and species from different kinds of organisms that is disturbing natural ways. And we would see that even when we look at our topic on gluten intolerance and see there what Satan has done to the wheat and what they are bringing together in that wheat plant that is causing havoc within the human body. But it is the enemy that has done this. And the master has said, the enemy has done it. It is not his doing, and we need to be mindful of this. So Christ's remedies will rather cleanse the system, but Satan has tempted man to introduce into the system that which weakens the human machinery, clogging and destroying the fine, beautiful arrangements of God. The body is wonderfully made, and every function, they interrelate into each other, and all meant to make this fine machinery work perfectly well. But there are things that we can do that will prevent that from happening. The drugs administered to the sick, they do not restore, they do not restore, but they destroy. And drugs never cure. Instead, they place in the system seeds which bear a very bitter harvest. And our Savior is the restorer of the moral image of God in man. He has supplied in the natural world remedies for the ills of man, that his followers may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. We can, with safety, discard the concoctions which man has used in the past, and the Lord has provided antidotes for disease in simple plants, and these can be used by faith with no denial of faith. For by using the blessings provided by God for our benefit, we are cooperating with Him. And this comes from the book Second Selected Messages, page 289. So it's not a lack of faith to be using the natural remedies that God has provided. You pray, you may ask for healing, and you put all your faith and your trust that God is going to do this. Now do for yourself that which you can do. So if it means, that you exercise to improve your blood circulation, you have a blood clot, so you may use garlic to help to disarm and to thaw that blood clot, to declot that blood. Then it's not a lack of faith that you're doing these things. When God talks about having faith, faith without works is dead. And so we can do that which we can do for ourselves and exercise the faith that God is going to multiply our efforts, bless it, and bring His healing to the body. How much of the world's population use herbal medicine for their primary health care? According to the World Health Care Organization, 4 billion people, that is amounting to 80% of the world's population, use herbal medicine for their primary health care. And I'm sure you've recognized within recent times, you have lots of counters within the pharmacy or in a supermarket or in some, size store, mini-mart, that carry a range of herbal supplements and so forth. And these things, they are increasing, and so they are readily available to people. So a lot more people are turning, to these types of herbal treatments and herbal applications for their particular health challenges. So why do people generally use botanical medicine? People generally use botanical medicines because many have lost faith in mainstream medicine, especially if it has failed them in overcoming disease or brought harm to them. And, there are some individuals who for years, they are using the conventional medicine. For years, they've had high blood pressure. For years, they have had arthritic pains. For years, they've had acid reflux. For years, they have had diabetes. And as they speak with us, they learn more about how to handle themselves and what are some of the changes that they need to make. Because for years you're on the drug medication, but you've made no change to your diet, no change to your lifestyle in significant amounts to really effect, healing to the body. And, but after speaking with us in a consult or hearing the messages over the airways or so, individuals feel empowered to be able to make these changes, and the guidance is clearly given about how to go about doing that. And as they apply it, you find that the healing comes in a short space of time. Within weeks, within days, you can feel the difference. Within weeks, it's progressing to be better, and you do feel well, and you do improve, and you find that, within a short space of time, the natural remedies works. So when medicine, the mainstream medicine fail, people would say, I got to do something different, and the difference is offered as we would engage with them. So another reason why botanical medicines are used is because of simple economies. Conventional healthcare is expensive. You have to have insurance to even help you out, to be able to get the treatments or to be able to buy medication. And for individuals who don't have such means, they can go to the simple remedies, which is not expensive for them. So many believe that anything natural is safer and better than a treatment produced in a lab or high technology. Another reason why individuals would go to botanical medicine is that the herbal industry has developed a high profile in many developed countries through advertisements in television, magazines, and the internet. And God is exalting natural remedies. So you see it's more rampant and available today. Now the Lord has provided antidotes for disease in simple plants, and these can be used by faith with no denial of faith. For by using the blessings provided by God for our benefit, we are doing what? Cooperating with Him. He can never use water and sunshine and the herbs which He has caused to grow in healing maladies. He can use the water and sunshine and the herbs which He has caused to grow in healing maladies brought on by indiscretion or by accident. So our indiscretion, or something happens to you, water, sunshine, the herbs can be used. We do not manifest a lack of faith when we ask God to bless His remedies. True faith will thank God for the knowledge of how to use these precious blessings in a way which will restore mental and physical vigor. The Lord has given simple herbs of the field that at times are beneficial, and if every family were educated in how to use these herbs in sickness, much suffering might be prevented, and no doctor need be called. These old-fashioned simple herbs, used intelligently, will have recovered many sick who have died under drug medication. So, I want to encourage individuals to appreciate the herbs, because some folks would say, well, I'll do everything else. I don't want any herbs. But God has provided the herbs to aid in restoring health to the body. He's provided it. He's blessed it. He can use it and work with it. And especially it can be used intelligently to help bring people to recovery. Whereas if they maintain themselves on the drug medication, they are going to die because of what it's doing, breaking down their body. And so there are many simple herbs which, if our nurses would learn the value of, they could use them in place of drugs and find them very effective. It would have been better if from the first all drugs had been kept out of our sanitariums and used use had been made of such simple remedies as are found in pure air, pure water, pure air, sunlight, and some of the simple herbs growing in the field. These would be just as efficacious as the drugs used under mysterious names and concocted by human science, and they would leave no injurious effects in the system. So the thing is that people would take the same herbs, mix it up, and give it some big name, and people would run for it. Whereas you can do it for yourself and even not have the sort of mixtures, but just use the herbs in a simple natural state and be able to regain the health. So more deaths have been caused by drug taking than from all other causes combined. Multitudes of physicians and multitudes of drugs. You have more physicians, you have more drugs, and they have cursed the inhabitants of the earth and have carried thousands and tens of thousands to untimely graves. You know, people are dying off prematurely. They don't need to have gone to sleep so early, but because of the drug medication, it's taking them to their graves sooner than necessary. And that you can find in the book Second Selected Messages, page 450, paragraph 2. When was the use of herbs instituted and by whom? The use of herbs were instituted at creation and by God. All right, so the herbs were there and they were available to be used. God created them. And then remember, we read earlier that Satan came and planted the poisonous seeds among them, but they were there before. Now, give an example in the Bible where herbs were used for healing. Now, we find that in 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 7, Hezekiah, in healing his terminal illness, he had a lump of figs placed on a boil, and over time it was healed. So he used a lump of figs. Here's a statement from the book God's Green Pharmacy by James Duke. There are some 300,000 higher plant species that are all chemically distinct, but fewer than 10% of them have been carefully screened for its medicinal or toxic constituents. A real good herbalist might know between 1,000 to 2,000 species, but rarely would they know more. There are simple herbs and roots that every family may use for themselves and need not call a physician any sooner than they would call a lawyer. Second Selected Messages, page 279. So if you don't go to a lawyer so often, should not be going to a physician so often either, but rather use the simple herbs and roots. And it's very important for us, to listen to the body and pay attention to the body. But you can only do that effectively when your diet is simple, when your lifestyle is simple and you have routine. The body loves routine, and if you eat simple food, and when I say that, not food with a whole lot of seasonings. Not food that you're mixing up and with the pies, and you have, say for example, cassava. You can boil your cassava, cut it up. You could probably saute with a little onion and garlic if you want to taste. So you can boil the cassava and you can eat it plain. Then you can boil your cassava and you can have a little onion and garlic and some sea salt, and you mix that up and it has some tasty flavor to it. But then you can take that same cassava and you can add some seasonings and you can crush it down and you can add some butter and oil and cheese it up and so forth and bake it and make a pie. In that form, you have added so many other things that it is not in its simple natural state. And so you're introducing all these other factors into your diet that would soon break out and be absorbed into your blood. And when you rather have your food more close to its natural state as it is prepared in a simple manner, and then you find that you eat it in that way, your body is like, it's so free from all the mixtures. So your stomach is not going to be so disturbed and burn you. And you're accustomed to that over a while. So that if you were to eat something and your stomach burns, your brain would be so connected to the body. Hey, I ate something, it didn't agree with me. What was it? And because your diet is more or less consistent with, you have your range of foods and you know how that works well, but anything off, you would be able to tell. So the point is that as you listen to your body, as you pay attention to your body, you would be able to know, okay, well, I've been eating this particular item and it's disturbing me, let me stop. But rather what some people would do if their diet isn't that simple or their lifestyle isn't that simple, things happen to them and they don't know what is causing it. And so they may run to the doctor for relief. And the doctor is none the wiser. He hasn't been looking at what you've been eating. He hasn't been with you. And he can just suspect. And so he may give you something to relieve the pain or relieve the discomfort. And all you're doing is treating, just covering up like a plaster over it, but you're not attending to the cause. So if you were to be listening to your body and paying attention, you would be able to identify causes so quickly that you can work with yourself, in terms of reversing these conditions. So I mentioned a few examples of drugs that come from herbs. Now, some of them are like aspirin. Do you know aspirin? Aspirin that is used to thin the blood, and aspirin that's used to relieve pain. It has come from a real plant called the white willow bark. And within there's a particular acid that has been excreted, and now it is all prepared in a form and spilled out into a pill, and you can use that as aspirin. But the thing is, the element that has been used when mixed in and out of its natural state, out of the white willow bark. Now you can use white willow bark for the same thing, to bring relief to pain. It helps to clear away inflammation in the body, and you can use the white willow bark that's effective and will not have the side effects that aspirin would. Aspirin, it would cause your stomach to bleed. It will be so disruptive to your stomach. It can cause you to have ulcers, acid reflux, and so forth. But the aspirin now, as it's prepared by man, it can bring relief, but it will also have negative side effects on the body. So rather, you can use the white willow bark and achieve what you want to accomplish. Then you have quinine that has come from the cinchona bark, and it's used to treat malaria. You also have digitalis, and that has come from the foxglove plant, and it's used to strengthen the heart, especially in congestive heart failure. So you can use the foxglove plant and that herb, you can use it for your heart condition, but instead they package it into digital list. But understand that while it might be easier for you to pop a pill, digitalis isn't safe altogether as the foxglove plant, because as they've extracted, once you remove something from its natural package, you are looking, you're changing it up altogether. And digitalis will have the side effects in a negative way that will bring harm to the body. Then you have axtial, that has come from the Western Pacific yew, and it's used to treat bacterial infections. So these are some of the drugs that have come from herbs and a lot of things. Something, it comes from something. It didn't just come from nothing. So there are lots of the medicines and conventional medicines that have come from plants. Now, 5 reasons for use of drug medications in the world. People would say, well, we use drug medications for standardization, to enhance potency, as an ease of administration, for widespread availability, economic interest. In 1994, more than 2 million patients showed adverse effects from the use of drugs. There's the RADAR project of 2005, RADAR for reports on adverse drug events project, account for as many as 100,000 deaths in the U.S. annually. Note that more than half of the most serious drug reactions are discovered in 7 or more years after the drug was marketed. And you would think that it had gone through trials, that it was safe, but no. So after the drug was marketed, it took more than 7 years before they actually saw the adverse reactions showing up in the drug. And then you see they would have a recall. And because of what it's doing to people, and it's causing the company a lot of money, if people actually go back to them for that, for suing them, if they were able to make that link and connection. But once they have recalls, it's because they've recognized something has gone wrong. But the adverse drug reactions, it took more than 7 years before, after it was marketed, before it started to show up. And so these things, the drugs, they're out in the market, and they would think, well, it's safe, but it's not. And it's only a matter of time that it would show up the ugly head of it. Now, what effect does antibiotics have on the body? The nightmare of severe bacteria invades the colon so that it has to be removed, or bacteria in the bloodstream called sepsis would result in death. So antibiotics, it can give relief and reduce the effects that you may be experiencing with bacteria, but at the same time, you have an overgrowth of the bad bacteria, and that can be too much for the system. It can actually get into your blood in a condition called sepsis. So in 2007, painkillers, there is an ever-increasing rate of fatality from the use of painkillers as the years increase. And in 2008, there were 20,745 adverse drug reactions reported to the FDA. That's up to 38% from the previous years. Of these, 4,824 died in that 3 months, in that first quarter. And that means that, assuming that 10% reported the adverse effects. So what about the rest of them may not have reported? It is estimated that 192,000 Americans will lose their life every year by taking a pharmaceutical drug medication. Remember that very little number of people actually report. And this is in keeping with the counsels that more and more deaths will result from drug medication. So you have the ADR, adverse drug reactions. They are harmful, unintended reactions to medicine that occur at doses normally used for treatment are called adverse drug reactions. And adverse drug reactions are among the leading causes of death in many countries. So examples of adverse drug reactions, you have different kinds of medicines, such as amidophorine, and that is used for reducing inflammation. However, it can have an adverse reaction in individuals where you can suffer from white blood cell disorder, and that is like attacking your immune system. Then you have chloroquinol, and for skin infections, here you find that it can cause vision impairment. Then next you have erythromycin, and that is an antibacterial agent, and it can cause a liver disorder or hepatitis. You have oral contraceptives. It can cause blood clots. You have statins, and that is used for lowering and controlling cholesterol, but it can cause muscle degeneration. And you do see the folks who are on these statins where the legs look really skinny, and the upper body might look full, but they have some skinny legs. It's the muscles that's just deteriorating and degenerating and wearing away. Or they have skinny legs or skinny arms and so forth. Then you have thalidomide, and that is used for morning sickness, and it can cause disfigurement in infants. And I guess if the pregnant mothers were using it for the morning sickness, the fetus, the baby can be born with disfigured features. So those are the adverse drug reactions that can take place. And you know, I always like to say it happens, and people they would have these drugs, and they would post up the side effects, and it's their way of declaring that I've told you, and there's absolutely no apology for doing this. You know, they're free to put the drug out in the market, and oh, by the way, you can have liver damage. Oh, by the way, your child, it can be born disfigured. But here, please use this. It's great for morning sickness. You know, and there's no apology for it. It's as bold as that. So in emergency, we may use a drug to buy time, but do not make drugs your friend and say there's no problem with it. You know, find a safer alternative. So there are times when in emergency situation, you're rushed, don't hesitate, or say that I'm going to the doctor, I'm going to the hospital, but please don't touch me, don't give me anything. If you're in a dire need, the drugs will move quickly and help, but don't become dependent on it. Now, drug medication, as it is generally practiced, is a curse. Educate away from drugs. Use them less and less, and depend more upon the hygienic agencies. Then nature will respond to God's physicians, the pure air, pure water, proper exercise, and a clear conscience. Now, those who persist in the use of tea, coffee, and flesh meats will feel the need of drugs, but may never recover but many might recover without 1 grain of medicine if they would obey the laws of health. All right, so let me read that again. Those who persist in the use of tea, the use of coffee, the use of flesh meat will feel the need of drugs. But many might recover without 1 grain of medicine if they would observe the laws of health. Drugs need seldom be used. Consult on Health, page 261. So if you were to put away the tea, put away the coffee, put away the flesh meat, you find that recovery can easily come without the use of the medicine. So now we have some plants that's used for herbs in a beneficial way. When you think about plants, you're looking at stems, roots, leaves, flowers, seeds, bulbs, fruit, rhizome, and so forth. Those variations you can have for parts of the plant that is used. So it's a general instruction for preparing the teas. Now listen up. This is how we prepare the teas. If you think about the hard parts of the plant, what part of the plant am I using? Is it the root, the seed, the rhizome, the bark? Those are the hard parts of the plant. If it is, then you need to boil those parts in order for the medicinal properties to be released and for you to gain and benefit from what you are drinking. So the hard parts of the plant must always be boiled, and we're boiling it for 15 minutes. Now you switch off the stove and you cover that pot with the solution in there. You cover it and you leave it to be drawn. So you leave it to draw or steep. You leave it there for as long as 4 hours. So boil for 15 minutes and then draw for anywhere between 40 minutes to 4 hours. Now the delicate parts of a plant, the leaves, the flower, bud, stem, or clusters, you will bring the water to a boil first. Then you add the leaf or the flower, like dandelion flower, chamomile flower. You can add it, and then you will be able to put. So you add the leaf or the flower, the delicate part, to that boiled, hot boiling water. But you switch off the stove. You don't boil the leaf. You just put it within the hot water. You cover it down and you steep it for anywhere between 40 minutes to 3 hours. The longer you leave it in there, the more potent it would be for when you have to drink the item. If you do have a combination of herbs, where you have some hard and some delicate, and you're combining them. So for example, if you have red clover and as a leaf, and then you took milk thistle as a seed, you have those two combinations together to cleanse your blood and your liver. Now what you do is that you fill your pot with water. Usually it would be like say about 4.5 cups of water, because you want for a dosage when you're mixing your teas that it can be like 4 cups. So most times, you follow the instructions as they're given, but say generally it might be about 4 cups of the tea that you want to drink during the day. And so you would take the 4.5, a little bit more to accommodate for boil off, so that what would be vaporized. And then you put your milk thistle to boil. So you can bring the water to a boil, add your milk thistle, seeds. It's hard. You boil that for 15 minutes. Then you switch off the stove, and then you add, say, your red clover leaf. You cover it, and they would be drawn together or steep steep together for, say, 3 to 4 hours. Now, drink as water, as you would drink water during the day, like mouthfuls at a time, and do not add any sweeteners to the tea. So don't add any sweetener to your tea. Now, understand that the difference between dried herbs and green herbs. So say if you had bay leaf, for example, you may have it dry or you may have it green. Now, the main difference is the medicinal phytochemicals that the dried herbs have. They're more potent. All right, they're more potent than the green leaf. So the green leaf or the fresh herbs from off the tree, they would contain about 80% water. That's why you can actually feel the leaf and it feels cool. It contains water. And however, the dried herbs contain like about 20% water because it's so dried down. So adding water to dried herb by infusion actually releases more of the phytochemicals into the tea. So if you had an option, it would be better for you to use the dry herb than the green one. And so in our presentations, we're actually referring to the dry herbs. So even when you see dosage given, it's because we're thinking of the dry herb. Because if it is that you were using the fresh one, you would actually need to use about 4 times more than what the recipe calls for to get the same potency. So, for example, if we were to say use, 2 tablespoons or a handful of bay leaf in dried form, if you got the fresh leaf from off the tree, you would have to use like 4 handfuls instead to get that kind of potency in your tea. So just a little foundation there to get you, to give some understanding in how to prepare these herbs. Now, here's a little warning. Some herbs that you should avoid while pregnant. Barberry, root bark, Cascara sagrada, feverfew, juniper berries, pennyroyal, rue, senna, wormwood, Chinese angelica, St. John's wort, and even you gotta watch celery, parsley, watercress, caffeine, chocolate, and tea, like English tea, and or red tea, black tea, white tea, chai tea, green tea, those teas. Now, avoid those when you're pregnant because some of them, lots of them here can cause miscarriages. Even watercress can abort a baby when you use and you intake watercress. There's some women who love watercress, and as one gentleman shared with us, his sisters loved watercress, but they just would lose their babies. And so by understanding that a watercress can abort a baby, people can avoid using it while being pregnant. So we've mentioned tea. So what is tea? Tea is prepared by steeping the leaves of Thea sinensis or bush in hot water. So you have green tea, which is unfermented leaves, and then you have black tea, which is fermented leaves. Sometimes you have red tea that the leaves are fermented as well. So there are other teas like white tea, red tea, chai tea, Earl Grey, iced tea. Those teas, they can come from leaves, leaves of Thea sinensis bush. Now, tea, those teas we just mentioned, they contain caffeine, and that is a toxic alkaloid. Caffeine penetrates every cell in the body. Caffeine, caffeine, as in the tea, will also cause vitamin B1 deficiency. Vitamin B1 deficiency leads to nervous disorders, Parkinson's disease, neuralgia, fatigue, irritability, depression, digestive disorders, lack of appetite, constipation, cardiac failure. So if that can all come about because of the tea that you're drinking, the caffeine that you're drinking, it affects the body in these negative ways. So charcoal is quite a lovely natural remedy. Many times I've been applied for advice as to what should be done in cases of sickness or accident. And I have mentioned some of these simple remedies, and they have proved helpful. On one occasion, a physician came to me. This is Sister E.G. White speaking, Ellen G. White speaking here in the book Selected Messages, Volume 2, page 295. On one occasion, a physician came to me in great distress. He had been called to attend a young woman who was dangerously ill. She had contracted fever while on the campground and was taken to our school building near Melbourne in Australia. But she became so much worse that it was feared she could not live. The physician, Dr. Merritt Kellogg, came to me and said, Sister White, have you any light for me in this case? If relief cannot be given our sister, she can live but a few hours. I replied, send to a blacksmith shop and get some pulverized charcoal. Make a poultice of it and lay it over her stomach and sides. The doctor hastened away to follow out my instructions. Soon he returned saying, relief came in less than half an hour after the application of the poultices. She is now having the first natural sleep she has had for days. So charcoal is quite beautiful, beneficial and helpful agent. And as we saw in our story, that it helps in the particular case of fever and to reduce the fever. And of course, it was something that caused the fever, but the charcoal was able to penetrate the skin and get towards cleansing probably the liver and so forth. Now, the helpful benefits of activated charcoal. Let's look at a few. It can help to relieve gas and flatulence, upset stomach, eliminate bad breath, eradicate foul odors, whiten teeth, filter impurities in water, remove acidic plaque, absorption rate. It has an absorption rate of 1 minute. It can relieve earache, relieve inflammation and pain, reduce acne and improve skin health, heals ulcers, and it can detox the body. Now, and there's so much more. If you go to our website, you can find an article on charcoal in the blog area, where you can see, how to apply the charcoal, how to mix it and prepare it as a poultice to be used externally on the skin. And you can do that, say, for the acne. If you made a little excuse me, if you made a little poultice of the charcoal, or simply just charcoal mixed with water or aloe vera gel or something, and you apply it on an acne spot, it just dries it up nicely without leaving any blemishes. People would actually make a mask for their face to cleanse their skin. You can use it successfully, on other eczemas and other skin areas. We've used it for gangrene on the toes and so forth, and it has helped that to heal nicely. You can use it for an earache, to brush your teeth with it. And how can something so black make your teeth so white? Just try it and you'll see. So if you feel upset stomach, you're passing gas, you simply drink some of that charcoal and it just stops it right away. It's pretty amazing. It has an adsorption rate of 1 minute. And yes, that is ADORPTION, adsorption. It actually adsorbs, takes up toxins and poisons and takes it out of the body. So what remedy is recommended in second selected messages, page 301 for cough? Here you have a remedy that 1 cup of boiled honey, and you add a few drops, say 8 to 10, but a few drops of food-grade eucalyptus oil, and you take 1 teaspoon every 2 hours. And so eucalyptus and honey combined together is very effective for coughing. And you can also have that warm foot bath with eucalyptus leaves, and it helps to relieve congestion of the stomach, congestion of the head, the brain. The honey with the eucalyptus oil, it's very effective if you had a persistent cough. And I remember one day, neighbor of mine, I heard her coughing, a crackling kind of sound when she coughed, and she coughed really badly. And I said, what's happening? And she explained she had this cough for the last 2 months, had gone to all the doctors, the hospitals, ran tests, and they can't get rid of this cough. And I said, okay, let me bring something to you. And I took to her honey with the eucalyptus oil dropped in it, mixed it, and again, you boil the honey so it's warm. And I gave it to her, and she used it like a cough syrup. So every 2 hours you ingest it, and it took her cough away. It stopped. She was able to sleep that night better than she had done in months. And she was so elated by the relief that she had gotten. She couldn't stop talking about it. So it's quite effective, honey with the eucalyptus oil. And try to get the one that's food grade eucalyptus oil, because you're injecting this and you want it to be of a proper quality one that you can ingest without any adverse reactions. What remedy is recommended in second selected messages, page 297, to quiet the nerves? Catnip. So 1 cup of tea made from catnip will help to quiet the nerves. You think you're nervous and anxious, catnip will settle you down. There are some others, such as passion flower, valerian, ashwagandha, rosemary. They can also be used to quiet the nerves. And you don't have to use them in combination. Any one of these will be beneficial. I've had people who have said to me, that they've used ashwagandha, and situations that would have caused them to really be fretful, they were just so calm about it. And it was quite helpful for relief of stress. So not only for your nerves, but if you're stressful, these teas can help to calm you down and make you feel less stressed. Another remedy that's recommended for congestion, sinus, cold, and headache. When the head is congested, put your feet and limbs in a bath with a little mustard. All right, so mustard seeds, mustard you can use in water, and the water will be like very warm that your feet would be comfortable in, and because your feet is very sensitive. So if that water was hot, what your hand would feel and think it's comfortable, your feet in that same temperature water would be, you think it's so hot. So test it and make sure you're comfortable, but add the mustard, and it would cause the head to be decongested. What about some herbal remedies for cold and flu? A lot of folks would have the cold, you'd have the flu, and it's persistent. But what can you use? You can use garlic, so you can make like a garlic tea. Add some ginger to that, honey and lemon, and you have a beautiful syrup that you can take, and that can hit the cold and the flu, to send it away. You can also use echinacea along with golden seal, and those help to, echinacea helps to build your immune system, and golden seal does that as well. But golden seal, you can't use it for more than 7 consecutive days. So you gotta stop, take a break, and then you may come back to use it. But there's so many other things that you can use. Again, encourage you to use citrus fruits, improve in your vitamin C, elderberry, onion, and even the charcoal can be used if you're coughing or you have, the cold or flu. It's coming on, and you can use charcoal right away, and it helps to stop that. So if you were to use charcoal in a glass of 8-ounce glass of water, 2 tablespoons, and remember to use a plastic spoon every time you use charcoal because the metal will deactivate it. And so we want to use plastic, so about 2 or 3 of those plastic spoons to an 8-ounce glass of water. You stir that around, you drink it, and then you follow that charcoal drink with 2 glasses of water. Drink some more water behind it. Charcoal can constipate you if it's too concentrated or you don't drink adequate amount of water. So you need to drink lots of water when you are ingesting charcoal. What about herbal remedies for bronchitis? You have licorice, garlic, English ivy, or plantain. What are some natural blood cleansers? So a lot of people would say, what can I do to clean my blood? Well, here you have burdock. Burdock, it works nicely to cleanse your blood. In fact, burdock would cleanse your blood and your liver at the same time. So it's like one herb, burdock, that would cleanse both blood and your liver. The blood runs through your liver every second, and it's redistributed to other parts of the body. So every time you think about cleansing your blood, you need to do a liver cleanse as well. So other blood cleansers would be like red clover, sheep sorrel, and Psalm 51:7 tells us about hyssop. Cleanse me with hyssop. So hyssop is really something that can help clean your blood. And some liver cleansers will be dandelion, milk thistle, chicory root. And again, if you want to clean your blood, you can take red clover and mix it with dandelion, and together you would be cleaning your blood and your liver. Or you can substitute. So it's any one of these, not all. You choose one. What about herbs to cleanse the kidneys for, say, if you had a urinary tract infection, bladder infection, or even kidney dysfunction? You can use corn silk, uva ursi, and parsley. Corn silk, uva ursi, or parsley. Corn silk is like a #1 go-to when it comes to restoring the kidneys. There are some societies where they don't have, people can't afford dialysis, or they don't have adequate support for a dialysis machine, and the doctors would recommend corn silk to their patients for them to use, to drink. And corn silk is that hair part of the corn. You take a handful of that to your 4 cups of hot water, you cover it down, you let it draw for 3 hours, and then you strain it and drink that liquid. For if you had any bladder infection, and you're running to the bathroom pretty quickly and it burns when you urinate. If you were to use corn silk, it helps to take care of that in one day. Just that dosage of 4 cups is going to help to clear that away. And you drink it for about 1 day, 2 days, and it's gone. You know, so the corn silk is really good. The parsley is also helpful, and this too is good for men with prostate affliction. By adding this to your tea treatment, it would be quite effective. So name some herbs to cleanse the lungs. So if you have the cold and the flu and your lung is congested, mullein or eyebright will be helpful in cleansing the lungs. What about the eyes? If the eyes are weak, painful, or has inflammation, you find that soft flannel cloths wet in hot water and salt and applied warm, not hot, but it must be warmed now, to the eyes will bring relief to clear away inflammation or to strengthen them. And, you know, but you don't open your eye and take all that salt, it's going to burn you. You just gently close it and you have that hot, warm cloth with that saline solution, and it's going to help to strengthen the eyes. Now, in reducing fever, you can use coriander, hogweed, fenugreek, or bloodwort. If you want to increase your platelet count, so this is for your blood now. Your platelet count, use barley grass or neem. Neem leaves can help to increase your platelets. What about worms and parasites? You know, all those nice tapeworms and hookworms and flukes and so forth that you have within the intestines. Yeah. And you know, worms can be passed on. If one family member has it, it's easy for it to be passed on to another. So what can you do to get rid of those worms? The parasites. You can use garlic, onion, wormwood, tarragon, thyme, pawpaw seeds, tamarind leaves, and pumpkin seeds. And you can take, you know, a course of this like over 3 days. I know we've worked with individuals. Say for 3 days, you just eat everything that the worm hates. They also hate pineapple. And carrots they hate, cabbage they hate. So you can, like about 3 days, you know, be drinking these teas and you eat what they hate, the onion, the garlic, pumpkin seeds, and so forth. Pawpaw and pawpaw seeds, they don't like the pawpaw seeds. So, and then when you hit the body with that and you're drinking the teas in between, and then like on the end of the 3rd day, you take a purge and you can get them to come out quite easily, and they are something to tell the story. And you know, a time I worked with a young lady and we got like the wormwood, we mixed wormwood, tarragon, thyme, onion, garlic, we put that together in a tea, and she was drinking this like about 3 times a day, or in between the meals rather, and then for the meal time she will eat all that the worms hate. You know, eat pawpaw and eat the pawpaw seeds, eat pineapple, and then she could have like the pumpkin seeds and so forth. And you're eating a lot, so you're you know, you're not starving. And on the 3rd day she was about to take a purge, but before she could actually get to doing the purge, she had a bowel movement. And when she looked back into the toilet bowl, she saw all these white stuff. So she was like, pumpkin seeds, I didn't chew it properly, but they're green. You know, what is this little white things I'm seeing? And she was kind of a little adventurous. So she took some Clorox and poured it. And then all the little white things just started moving up, hysterically. And she was like screaming, and she called me and she said, "You don't believe what is happening here." And I was just laughing and saying, "I'm happy for you. I'm happy those things are coming out of your body." And, but she thought it was so gross. And I said, "No, look on the bright side. I mean, if they remained within you, that's just not good, and that's not healthy stuff. They're parasites and feeding off you. So, let's work on getting rid of them." And so treatments can be really cheap. Tamarind leaves, you see a tamarind tree, it's filled with leaves to abundance, more than you can take away. So you could use up these things. Laxatives, so you want a bowel movement, you want to take a purge, and if you're cleansing your blood, your liver, and you can do, mix some of these herbs together. So you can cleanse your blood, your liver, your colon, your kidneys, and your lungs, and you take one from each of those categories, and say you're drinking that for an entire week. At the end of the week, it would be quite logical to take a laxative, so that you help to clear that as the body is detoxing and getting rid, cleaning up. You can help a little bit by moving along. But every time if you were to use these laxatives, not very regularly, but you use them, you would always need to use like a probiotic afterwards to restore healthy gut flora, and make sure you have your probiotics standby to use after you take the laxative. So senna leaves or the seeds, cascara sagrada, rhubarb root, castor oil, castor beans. You use the castor oil, and it's great. You mix castor oil with lemon, and so 1/4 cup of lemon juice and 3 tablespoons of the castor oil. You can mix that together and drink it down quickly. And you can have some warm water behind that, and you would find that if you did the warm water, say every 30 minutes, you drink like an 8-ounce glass of warm water for about the next hour or two, you would be able to get a bowel movement at some point using the castor oil. One of the things with the castor oil is that it doesn't really cramp you. You just get an urge to go and you're fine. What about menstruation pain? Ladies suffer with this every month. Now, again, go to the cause, address your hormonal imbalance. But for quick relief, you can use cramp bark tea, chasteberry tea. Black cohosh would help to regulate your hormones. Dong quai would do the same, and to give relief of the menstrual pain. Turmeric is also a lovely thing to use for the menstrual pain, because sometimes the pain comes because of blood clots. And so turmeric would help to thin that blood and get a better flow and avoid those blood clots that can cause pain. Hormonal imbalance. So again, chasteberry is good to balance your hormones. Black cohosh, and burdock, red clover, dandelion, milk thistle, ashwagandha, kelp. You'd notice that we're just shooting some of the herbs out here. The dosage isn't given, so you would need to chat with us to get the dosage, or if you buy bottles already packaged that would have the dosage on this, that's fine. But it's just to bring to your awareness some of the natural herbs that are available to help with these situations. If you have a urinary tract infection, there's some diuretic plants that can be used. So corn silk, here again, celery, parsley, cherry tree, goldenrod, devil's claw, burdock, borage, uva ursi will help to clear away any urinary tract infections, UTIs. What about building your immune system? So you're struggling with your health and the You need to build your immune system. Camu is like #1 source of vitamin C that's has the highest level of vitamin C. Camu, it comes from a fruit in the Amazon, and you can get it in a supplement form to help build your immune system. Cat's claw, turmeric, chicory root, chlorella, spirulina, kelp, sheep sorrel, lemon can also help to build your immune system, and acerola cherries is even greater in terms of its vitamin C than lemons, about 50 times more potent in its vitamin C. This is the red West Indian cherry. That's really great for vitamin C and building your immune system. Turmeric, it's what we can use in cooking, but there are also some beautiful benefits of turmeric. The root, and remember, if it's a root, you have to boil in order to get its medicinal properties out. Boil for 15 minutes. Now, you may find turmeric in a powder form, but its origin is coming from the root. It's not the turmeric leaf that's powdered. It's a turmeric root that's ground and in a powder form. So you need to boil that powder, turmeric powder, as well. So it would help to prevent tumors and cancer. It's part of the cancer protocol. And it will help to relieve menstrual pain, fatigue, relieve joint pain, help to detoxify the body. It is anti-inflammatory properties, so with arthritis, gout, and so forth, you can use turmeric. Useful for gastrointestinal disorder. Aloe is another beneficial plant. So it's antiviral and antibacterial. It's a great skincare moisturizer. I know for ladies who would use aloe on their face every night, have beautiful skin, the tone of the skin, and it's so rich and silky, so you can try that, and you just sleep all through the night with it, wash it out in the morning, and it's quite helpful. And it's a great moisturizer as well. It helps with digestion, to improve digestion and to relieve indigestion. So the aloes, if you were to say have burning stomach because of heartburn or acid reflux, you can take aloes like about an inch of the flesh, peel that skin off, and the fleshy part, you put 1 ounce of water in a blender with that 1 inch of the aloe. You blend it up, and you drink that liquid solution like about 15 minutes before you eat at your meal time. And what that would do, it would coat the stomach and avoid the burning. It would also help to heal the lining of your stomach wall and bring relief in any case of indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux. Now, it's also good for burns from steam or fire. So if you have an aloe plant in your kitchen or nearby your kitchen garden, you get a burn, you quickly go take a piece of it and rub the area, and it would help to prevent reddening, swelling, or that burn mark. So it's good for dark spots, cleansing and detoxing, acne scars, dry skin and wrinkles, sunburn, boosting your immune system. Aloe is the thing. So what about benefits of rosemary? Rosemary is quite common. Some people cook with it, but you can have it in a greater amount and use to give relief from migraine, to boost your immune system, to help regulate gastrointestinal problems, as a natural hair conditioner. So you can make a tea strong with the rosemary and rinse your hair with it, and it would enhance the color and like and soften your hair. It will enhance mood if you ingest it, you drink a tea from it, reduce stress and anxiety, improve memory, regulate bowel movement, improve blood circulation. Benefits of bay leaf. It will lower high blood pressure and lower high blood sugar. It can aid in digestion and nutrient intake. It will alleviate respiratory conditions. It's also a natural hair conditioner, and it would help to eliminate lice. Stinging nettle. It can be used for treating gout, arthritis, muscle pain, reduce enlarged prostate, and it's part of the prostate protocol. So your prostate gland is enlarged. Stinging nettle will help to reduce that. It will help to relieve fatigue, anemia, and and stimulate blood circulation. It will also stimulate milk production in lactating mothers. So you want to improve your mother's milk, stinging nettle tea will do that. It prevents bacterial infection and helps to maintain healthy skin, and it eliminates stones from the kidney and gallbladder. Moringa, it's quite popular, and so it's a powerful antioxidant, good for liver protection, build your immune system, treat diabetes, rich in antibacterial properties, useful for treating neurodegenerative diseases, anti-tumor, antifungal, and more. Moringa is referred to as the it's a life, the tree of life, and so it's great for quite a number of different conditions. So you can't go wrong if you drank moringa tea. Neem, it can help with treating acne, protect against diabetes, insect repellents in gardens. Neem, and you steep it, you get a tea from it, and you spray your plants. It's keep away those insects. And I know folks who do that, and it really helps. The bugs and so forth are afraid of it. It would also help in preventing certain STDs, eliminating dandruff and strengthening hair, lower the risk and cardiovascular disease, protect your teeth and gums against oral periodontal disease, and provide relief from constipation, from bloating or cramping. What about kelp? You can ground the kelp to powder, or you can have the kelp leaves that are used. They balance the thyroid hormone, prevent prostate cancer, regulate hormonal function, stimulate red blood cell production, maintain acid balance in the body, regulates metabolism. It's rich in vitamin C, prevents breast cancer, prevents osteoporosis, and prevents the effects of radiation poisoning. So kelp can help. So you get the powder and you use like about 1/4 teaspoon on your food, and you eat it up. And depending on your health situation, the amounts can vary as to what you can do. But kelp is quite helpful. And even though you don't have any of these conditions, kelp helps to feed your thyroid gland with iodine. So if you were to ask yourself, well, where am I getting my iodine from? Are you getting it from where? Your sea salt? Or are you putting kelp within your diet? So it has a fish-like taste initially. After a while, you get so used to it. But utilize kelp. So you don't need to have any of these conditions. It helps with prevention as well. Any issues that are influenced by the thyroid hormone. And in fact, every cell in the body has a receptor site for thyroid hormone. So we do need adequate amounts of thyroid hormone. And so kelp can help with that. Lemon helps to reduce weight. So it relieves fever and cold, stimulates the colon, and that's why you find individuals would drink the lemon water and get a nice bowel movement. It helps to ease pain, sunburn, and bee stings. It treats rheumatism and arthritis. The lemon juice would fade scars and remove wrinkles and blackheads. So again, our ladies who want beautiful skin, if you put lemon on your skin, you leave it, let it dry off, and after a while you can just rinse that off, and it gives a beautiful texture. So applying it to the skin, and as you drink it too, it would help. Remember, when you're drinking lemon, always use a straw to protect the enamel of your teeth. You can also squeeze lemon in water and use it to cleanse the hair, add body to the hair, and it can help to reduce high blood pressure as well. There are some little oils that works quite powerfully. They are essential oils, and I just have a few here. One is the oregano. It's so amazing that this little bottle, now that you get a little bottle, it's potent. It's a bit expensive, but it lasts, because all you're doing, you're using a drops at a time. So it can last quite a while, but so the oregano can help to fight infection, skin rash, sore throat, prevent or shorten flu. Or if you have a persistent cough again, oregano drops in an 8-ounce glass of water can help to clear away that cough in an instant. It helps to give relief to muscle pain. You have a muscle pain area, you use oregano oil. One of the things with these essential oils is that you cannot use them directly on the skin. You must dilute it. And if you were to ingest any, it's diluted with water. But for the skin, if you were to put it directly on your skin, it'll just get red instantly. So you need to use a carrier oil, like coconut oil, olive oil, almond oil, something, and you put the drops, as much as you need within that oil, and you mix little portions at a time for what you would be using. And as you put that on the area, it helps to relax the muscles and remove pain, remove inflammation under the skin. So there's some great benefits for cold sores, yeast infection, removing lice from the hair. Oregano can help, along with tea tree. So peppermint, it's an insect repellent. It's soothing. If you feel nauseous or so, just put some peppermint on your clothing, inhale it, and you would soon find relief. It's also great for sinus, asthma issues, bronchitis, colds and cough, any inflammation and pain. Again, it can help to reduce that. Useful for dandruff, so you can mix it in a shampoo and wash your hair in your conditioner, and you wash your hair with it. It helps to remove dandruff. For migraine, it's very soothing and relaxing. For headaches, migraine, upset stomach, and so forth. Tea tree oil is great again for acne, but for toenail fungus, tea tree oil, you put that on that fungus area and it works beautifully. It clears it up. But if you want to fight off bacteria, virus, and fungi, it's great for mosquito repellent. It removes odors, treats mildew and mold. Spray some tea tree oil in the moldy area and it helps take care of that. And antigerm. This is a combination of herbal agents, and so it contains, let me see, I know it has clove oil in here, it has eucalyptus, oregano, rosemary, lavender, sage, lemon, grass, quite a number of of different herbs come together in this particular product called anti-germ, which is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. It's good for germs and insects. And so if you feel you're exposed to germs and use anti-germ, it helps to protect you. I remember one time I was out with my mom, and she started sneezing, and I said, "What's happening to you? You can't get sick." We were out on a trip, and I said, I had a bottle with some anti-germ mixed in water that I had made my own hand sanitizer with. And I said, "Open your hand, sprayed some in it," and I said, just inhale this. Or she put it to her nostrils. It has a great fragrance. And her sneezing stopped instantly. And she didn't develop a cold or flu or anything. And, so it's quite powerful and potent. And that brings us to the end of our topic on botanical medicine. We trust that it has been helpful to you, and you were able to gain some insights in recognizing the benefits of the herbs that are out there, that they have many uses, and if put into use, would be able to be quite beneficial to those that apply it. So let us close with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love and your mercy, and for your provision of the herbs that are placed within our reach, and which we can utilize to bring relief to our sufferings. And we pray that you will enable us and give us the mindset to be strong enough to even use them, because many times they're there and we don't use it, but help that we would use them and be able to give you all honor and glory and praise is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.